guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a very interesting video. I'm going to be doing my first worth the buy or not foundation review on a very expensive, luxurious foundation that I've been eyeing for a long time, but the price just, it didn't connect with me. And that is the Mer, the Soft Fluid Liquid Long Wear Foundation. This foundation is used by all of the celebrities, and one of the main reasons I was intrigued by it was because I was watching Kim Kardashian's Vogue tutorial, and she swears by this foundation. She loves it. And I was like, you know what? It's the holiday season. It's about to be my birthday, and I was like, let me just pick it up. So I picked this up probably like a week and a half ago on Christmas Eve when I went to Nordstrom's, and I was like, no regrets. And right now it is January 3rd, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I got this foundation. That was expensive. It's like $120. Isn't that insane? So today I'm going to be here to tell you guys whether I think this foundation is worth $120 or not. So I think you don't want to miss this one. I know a lot of you guys have asked me about this foundation. I'm just like, girl, do you know how much that foundation costs? Do you think I have that type of money to spend on that foundation? But it's always during the holiday season when you just kind of go crazy, and I just splurged, and I just hope this is not something I'm gonna regret. I am going to be doing right now my primer. So today for primer, I'm going to be mixing two primers. I'm going to be using a more affordable primer and a more expensive primer. But first, I want to start with the more inexpensive one, which is the e.l.f. Putty Poreless Primer that you guys know I love. I did a dupe video for this with the Tatcha, and guys, if you haven't seen that video, you definitely should, because it's a really good one. And I really like to apply these type of primers in the areas where I have really enlarged pores. So right around here is where I really go in with it. And also the nose area. Now we're going to be taking that really expensive Sicily primer that I purchased. This is another $100 product, which is crazy. I don't use this all the time. I honestly only use it when I kind of want, like, I honestly only use it when I have like an occasion. But I'm gonna use it today because, I mean, we're doing luxury here. So I'm using it on the outer parts of my cheek because I feel like it does a good job of hydrating my skin. So I really appreciate that. So I'm just applying this kind of on the outer cheek areas and like on these sides right here. Just gonna take a little tiny bit more. I'm not trying to really waste this product because, you know, I don't got 120 or whatever 115 that it is to just be spending every 3 months on a new primer. So we gotta use it wisely. I just feel like primer definitely makes a big difference. Okay, so now we're gonna be taking the foundation. I'm going to be doing one side with a brush, and then I'm gonna be doing another side with a sponge. Now I do have a little box for it right there. Wait, no, right, what am I doing? Right here, if you guys can see, I took it out of the box. Here you do have, does it tell me how much I have? No, it doesn't. Let's see. What does the box tell me? 1 ounce, so you have a full standard ounce. And I also realized that this formula is very liquidy. I did actually try this on, and I wanted to make sure I had the right shade because the Nordstrom counter, you could like see the display of it, which I appreciate because there is quite a few colors. So I want to make sure I picked up the right color, and I picked up the color Buff 23A. This also has sunscreen of 20, which I think, honestly, I'm just going to say right here, I think that's some bullshit for La Mer to do because I'm paying $120, and you're only going to put 20 SPF, which really won't do anything for me. I think that for the price, I should be getting at least 35, or maybe even let's go to 50. I mean, It Cosmetics does it. Why can't we do it right here? It Cosmetics is like $38 or so, $40 for their products. And this is $120, and I'm only getting 20 SPF. I know this has like a miracle broth that is also in their moisturizer, which is very popular. Also a very expensive moisturizer. I think it's $200. But I don't know. Like, that was the first thing I was like, only 20 SPF, and you're gonna sit here and sell this for me for $120? Is that okay? Am I having a disconnect here? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is also make sure I shake it well. Like I mentioned, this is a liquidy consistency. So I wanna make sure that it's all mixed in well and it's not really, really runny. Okay, so I brought you guys in very close because I want you guys to be able to see everything. My redness right now is pretty good. Like I mentioned, in the winter, my skin always does well. It's just the summer when it gets really hot, my rosacea is like, oh hell no, girl. So I'm gonna be taking my Morphe sponge. Now I do quickly wanna say, because I know this is a liquidy foundation, whenever I do that or whenever I use a liquidy foundation, I like to make sure that when I do go and wet my sponge, I don't wet it as much as I would when I use a foundation that's super full coverage and thicker, because I don't want it to absorb way too much of that product. So that's why right now I'm only doing a little bit. I mean, it is pretty damp, but it's not as damp as I usually do it. So I'm going to be taking the foundation, and this is what it looks like currently. You can see the formula is a nice creamy formula, but it definitely is a little bit runny because you see it running a little bit on my hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dot this all over, and we're going to begin blending. Okay, so that looks very nice. You can see it's blending right into my skin. It looks very lightweight. It doesn't look super, super full coverage, but I feel like it almost becomes one with your skin because you can see how it still looks very, very nice and radiant, and it looks just like skin. It looks like I'm putting on like a tinted moisturizer, but you can see it definitely covered because look at the difference. This is with the foundation, with no foundation, and I mean, it looks very pretty and healthy. I haven't covered my forehead, which, as you can see, my forehead is pretty evened out. I wish all my skin was like that. So we're gonna take one more pump, and we're gonna go ahead and just put some on the forehead. And do you see how fast that covered up? So if you have really evened out skin, it's gonna cover you fast. Still feel very much like skin. Looks pretty. I was worried that it would absorb too much of the product with the sponge, but because I think we didn't really go in with a very, very damp sponge, I feel like it allowed it to look very beautiful. Okay, so I think I'm gonna build it up a little bit because I wanna see how it builds. And I do feel like this is good. I feel like this for me would be more of like an everyday wear foundation because it does have that very nice finish and it just looks like your natural skin. This foundation does have a scent. I don't know, for a second I was smelling kind of like a sweet liquor, but I'm also getting kind of like an applesauce scent. I don't know, it's like a mixture. No, like apple pie and then like sweet alcohol. It's weird. But it's not irritating my skin. I feel like that's what the miracle broth is that they have, that like special element that comes in the foundation. So let's go ahead and do one more pump, like that much. And this is all we're gonna do. I just wanna see how it builds because you guys know I always like to put everything to the test here. Now, considering that it is a more liquidy foundation, it's not giving me like super dewy or glowy vibes. It's kind of more like a just regular consistency. It looks pretty. It definitely builds up very nicely on the skin. Doesn't feel like you have anything on. Even when you touch it and you're applying it with your fingers onto the skin, you can tell that this formula is super lightweight. So here is with the foundation on with the sponge. It applied very beautifully. I really, really like how it looks. Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply it with my brush. I wonder if there's gonna be like a huge difference or you can just use either or. But I do have to say that if you are somebody that is looking for a more full coverage look, it may apply better with the brush. We're about to find out because I definitely feel like with the second layer that I applied the foundation, it looks more fuller coverage. It's not feeling sticky whatsoever. It feels very, very silky on the skin, which I love. I love when a foundation can give me that very silky finish. And right now it almost looks like I have a powder over the foundation. It looks like it's powdered. It doesn't have any shine. It's setting kind of more like a soft matte. So that is interesting. Okay, so we're gonna be sticking to our Delium Tools brush. I'm gonna be taking one full pump like that. Probably gonna need a little bit more. I always go in and dot it in the areas where I really wanna apply this. Yeah, it just goes on very lightweight. I still think that this side too, you kind of have to build it up. Because do you see how we went in with quite a few dots on the face and it still feels very and looks very natural. I feel like this is more so for my woman who just likes a very natural looking foundation. So we're definitely gonna have to go in with another layer. So I would say this is probably more of a, I don't even know if this is medium coverage. I mean, I guess it could be a medium coverage because I feel like it covered a good amount of my redness. And that's definitely a lot when it can cover a good amount of my redness. So yeah, it probably would be a medium buildable coverage foundation. It is a more creamy formula, which I feel like helps it kind of give you that more like medium coverage. Like this looks a little tiny bit radiant, but then this side looks like perfected and like almost like you just powdered it over. So I'm gonna be using the leftover that I had from my forehead because you guys know my forehead's pretty evened out, and just apply that all over the cheek area where I still could use a little bit more coverage. Also around the nose. My nose has been really red lately and had little breakouts, which has never happened. I think it's because I ate badly during the holidays and I don't regret it, but it happened. It looks nice. I feel like it looks really good with both. I feel like it looks fantastic on the side where you use a sponge, but it also looks great on the side where you use the brush. I would recommend you making sure that when you do wet your sponge, you don't wet it way too much where it's gonna be super, super wet because it will absorb a lot of this foundation. It will make this foundation look more sheer. Now, if that's a look that you're going for and you want the foundation to look more sheer, then you can definitely really soak up that sponge and really wet it. Let me just go ahead and use a little tiny bit more on this side. The feeling of this foundation reminds me of the Luminous Silk Foundation by Giorgio Armani. It's very, very silky and it just feels really good and it blends really easily into the skin. Like it's not one of those foundations that you have to really go to town with your brush or sponge to really put on the skin. This one just blends right into the skin and makes it look really pretty. The color is also fantastic. Like I mentioned, this is the color Buff 23A. I feel like it fits me perfectly right now as my winter shade. Now it does feel very hydrating, so that's another good thing. My skin right now is a little bit dry, like my cheek area where my rosacea is. It feels a little patchy and dry, but I feel like this foundation allows the skin to have some moisture. It also looks very fresh. Like my foundation doesn't have any dry patches right here. So that's something that I can definitely get with. This side just looks very nice, but it still looks like skin. Like I don't know how to describe it. I know I say that about a lot of foundations, but this one honestly looks like it's my skin. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of look into the mirror and see what is going on. And it's so funny to see it transform. This side had already had those extra minutes to set. So it honestly looks like I have a nice powder over it, but like a nice soft powder, and not a powder that has a very like cakey finish. This side is setting and it looks more fresh, more like a little bit of a dew almost, and more radiant. So don't get scared if you do have oily skin and you're trying this out and you're like, oh my God, this is actually kind of dewy, because it's going to set like this. It's a very pretty finish. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do right now is finish off the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to give you guys my very first impressions and very first thoughts on this foundation. So if you wanna see more about La Mer, then please go ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so I am back. I finished my entire face of makeup and I really love how everything turned out. I love the way that it sets. I really thought it was going to set more of like a luminous finish just because when you first apply it, it does have a little bit of dew, but it definitely gives you a very nice perfected powder finish that I am living for. So the reason why I am just so intrigued by this is because La Mer is a very pricey brand. So As somebody that tries a lot of foundations, you're kind of thinking, okay, I've tried so many foundations that what is going to make this one stand out of all of them that's going to make me be like, okay, you know what? This is worth $120. There is 1 full ounce, like I mentioned earlier. It's paraben free, it's sulfate free, and phthalate free. I'm not exactly sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And this is made in the USA. So that's just something right there for you guys to note. I do want to go ahead and take a flash picture because I want to see how this is going to do. So there's no flashback, which is really nice. I feel like usually we have that flashback, but because I feel like this is 20, it's not enough to give me a strong, intense flashback. I don't see any flashback with this. So I really appreciate that because we don't want any flashback, especially because I feel like for somebody who clearly isn't going to be splurging 120 just like woo shits and giggles, you're probably going to use this more so for like special occasions where, you know, you really want your skin to look beautiful but still look like your own skin. So that's when I personally would use this foundation. I feel like this foundation could be used as an everyday foundation, but if you're okay with splurging the 120 every few months, then go for it. But I just feel like for me, I would want to wear this on special occasions because it's expensive and I don't want to use it up so fast. And also because I feel like it's one of those foundations that really gives you beautiful finish for like a special event, for something that you really want to look super snatched for. So if you want to see what I think of this La Mer Soft Fluid Foundation and my final thoughts and just all the tea on this, then please go ahead and stay till the end of the video because I promise you, you won't want to miss it, and I'll be finding you some dupes, and I know you don't want to miss that either. So stay tuned for this because I think this is going to be a really interesting one, a really good one so far. It's looking really good, I can't lie. So I'll be seeing you guys in a little bit. Okay, so right now it is currently 4:30 p.m. and I've been wearing this since 9 a.m. So it's been a very long day thus far, but we still have more to go because I want to see how this is going to wear for like the entire day, because it's supposed to be a long wearing foundation. As you can see, this is what it looks like right now. I did blot it just a little bit because there was like a little piece of hair up here and I was like, wait, I need to brush that away. But it did break apart a little bit on my forehead. I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I blotted that away, but it was breaking apart and separating up here. But it definitely does look a little bit more dewy right now, but I feel like it looks like a pretty dew. Like this is bearable, but if it gets worse through the day, then that's when it's gonna become a problem for somebody like me that has oily skin. We're gonna continue the day and see how this goes. I just wanna give you guys an update with natural lighting before the sun sets, because you guys know during the winter the sun sets super early. So this is the color and you can see that it matches my neck pretty well. So we're doing good. So I'll be seeing you guys in a little bit to give you guys my final thoughts and opinions on this. Guys, so I am back. It is now 7 p.m. at night. And I'm getting ready to take off this makeup because I'm gonna be going to the gym. I wore this pretty much the entire day, and I think I have some well-developed thoughts. I also, like I mentioned, did a little bit of research. I found some good information on it that I wanna share with you guys, and I also wanna talk about dupes, and I just wanna get into this. So, first things first, let's talk about what my face looks like right now. We are dewy. If you guys did see that little check-in where I showed you guys my face in natural lighting, you guys did see that it was a little dewy, and there was a little bit of separation up here. My forehead, I just have those like fine lines up there, and we are getting very dewy in this area right here. So I would have to say that for somebody that has oily skin, you probably will have to blot a lot. And I would say don't buy it because it's not gonna benefit your skin. Now I do have to say, I feel like it does have a very beautiful finish. It looks stunning. And when you first apply it and it sets into the skin the first 5 minutes, I definitely do see a difference. I feel like it gives it a very perfected powder finish that I haven't seen with a lot of foundations. So that is definitely a plus for it. But I don't think that that is worth 120 in my eyes. I feel like it's a little bit of, but I do have to say that for somebody that's looking for a luxurious foundation that has dry to normal skin, I definitely think this is something that you would love. I feel like the finish is so beautiful, especially if you like a finish that's kind of like a very soft matte, but still gives you a little bit of radiance through the day. Because I feel like this foundation, as the hours progress, you will see some of that radiance. Now, something that I wasn't liking about this foundation that I saw often was that it transfers very, very easily. Every time I would touch my face or like touch my ear or something, I would look at my nails and it would have foundation all over it. With some foundations, I feel like all foundations tend to transfer somehow, some way, but I feel like this one transfers easier than some other foundations that I've tried. So the transfer is definitely there. These little oils right here are really bugging me in particular, so I'm kind of like, I need to blot those oils, but because I'm about to take it off, it doesn't even matter. But that's how I feel as for who it's worth it and for who it's not worth it. Just a little side note. Now let's go into dupes, because I know you guys are probably going to be wondering about that. So you guys know I try a lot of foundations here on my channel, so I have been thinking all day, what foundations does this kind of remind me of? And at first I was like, you know what? It kind of reminds me of the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Foundation. I feel like it has that same type of creamy consistency, but it's still very hydrating. Also kind of reminded me a little bit of the NARS Natural Radiant Foundation. But the only thing is that those are more full coverage. This one is more of a medium to buildable coverage. You can even, if you pump a little bit of it, make it that very sheer finish. So that's where I was like, it's not a dupe because it's not that same like sheer consistency. Those are way more fuller coverage. Even though they feel similar in texture, it wasn't the same. And then when I tried them on the back of my hand to set them, those like set a little bit slower than this one sets. This one sets pretty fast, and when it sets, it's almost that beautiful, just powdery finish like I mentioned. So that's where I was kind of like, they don't match. So what I do plan on doing is I plan on continuing to research foundations that I've tried, doing some trial and error, and when I find that exact one that I feel could be a really good dupe for this La Mer, you will see me back on camera doing a dupe video. So stay tuned for that. I just didn't want to just be like, oh, this is a dupe when it's not. So I will be finding out where we can go, and something that also has similar ingredients, because all those things matter. Now that I mentioned ingredients, I want to touch on one last topic, which is ingredients. So this does have those elements of the La Mer cream, which is a very popular cream that people love. And if you go to the counters where they sell La Mer, you will see that all the little displays of the cream are completely empty, and that's because they know people want to, you know, try it out for free and see what all the fuss is about. But they're like, you have to spend $200, honey. So I was like, I want to know more about this. So two of the main ingredients are seaweed and mineral oil. Now, I want to first start with seaweed. So the seaweed is an antioxidant, and the seaweed is supposed to protect against aging, which is a big thing for a lot of people. I feel like as soon as people see something that's going to protect you against aging, they're like, give it to me. That's all they need to see for people to buy it. Trust me, I've seen it happen all the time. If you make a product and you put on there that this is going to help with aging, you will have so many people buy it, because that's what people love. Especially when it's expensive, because they're like, oh, they're definitely putting some good little situations in here to stop the aging, but you never know. Also, the seaweed is supposed to prevent from UV damage, which is another thing that causes the aging, is when you are exposed to a lot of that UV light. It's not the best for you, and that's where the sunscreen comes in. But like I mentioned, the 20 SPF just isn't enough for me, and I feel like for a brand that's charging me $120, I need more. So now the other big factor in there is the mineral oil, which, if you know, a lot of brands put mineral oil in their products. It's a very common ingredient, and it's not expensive. I think it's a very cheap ingredient to put in there. It serves as a second barrier for the skin. So a lot of people always ask, okay, I want to try foundation, but I want something to really protect it and really create a barrier to stop, you know, all the bad things from coming in contact with my face. And that's what the mineral oil does for this foundation. It also helps with hydrating your skin. And I feel like the mineral oil is what kind of gives it that more creamy consistency, because when you mix it, it gives you that. So like I mentioned, this is definitely one of those foundations that I would say is great for people that have dry and normal skin. But I do have to say, when I first applied it, the finish was so beautiful that I was like, if this is what it's gonna look like through the whole day, then it's definitely worth my $120. You know what I mean? Because it looks stunning. But I'm sure when I blot it, I can get it to that situation, but this would be my second time blotting it. I blotted it once already, and this will be the second time. So I just don't think it's worth the $120 for that type of situation. So I personally think, all in all, what you're really paying for with this La Mer foundation is the name. So those are all my thoughts on this La Mer foundation. I really hope this was very helpful for you guys, because I feel like when you are trying to figure out whether you want to, you know, spend a lot of money on something, you really want all the facts, and that's what I try to do for you guys, and that's what I try to do in this review, especially because it's my first one for 2019. Please go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy watching it. Also, if you guys have any thoughts or opinions on this La Mer foundation, then please let me know them down below in the comment section. I love starting conversation with you guys. I will also have all the information on this La Mer foundation in my description box. Also, what I'm wearing on my face, so you guys can know in case you're wondering certain things that I'm wearing. What else is left for me to say? Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel, because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my videos for the world. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're notified every single time I upload, because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my videos for the world. And I think that's it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let you guys go, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.